Welcome to New Possibilities. I speak truth to power without fear. Yesterday, I participated in a Google Hangout and we were talking about solutions to problems in the black community, including the problem between black men and black women. So today, I want to continue that discussion and I welcome your feedback. Before I begin the discussion, I want to remind people that every Monday at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I have Google Hangouts. I encourage you all to join my Hangout, which will be tomorrow, and it's every Monday if my schedule permits. So check that out. I hope that you can join me. So, in terms of solutions to our problems, we can't talk about solutions without talking about God. And I think that in this time and age, we have deviated away from God, we have deviated away from righteousness, and we have too often embraced wickedness. We have embraced hedonism. So instead of us building strong families and supporting family values, we have embraced a lifestyle that is destructive to us as a community. A lifestyle of instant gratification. So instead of people building strong and lasting relationships, they go from one relationship to the next. They go from one failed relationship to the next failed relationship. Because too often they're not getting to learn about people. They don't do their research on the individuals that they're laying down with. They don't get to know that person as a full human being. They're caught up in emotionalism. They're caught up in feeding their sexual urges and desires. And often that has detrimental effects on our community. Often we have situations of unwed mothers and fathers. We have the situation of diseases in our community. And these single parent households, they do have an impact on the nature of our community. When we were people that were more religious, we had stronger families. The nuclear family was the norm. You can't have a strong society without a strong family. And that's part of the reason, not the complete reason, but that's part of the reason why our communities are not in the kind of condition that they should be. You have young black men without guidance. They don't have a strong male presence in the household to guide them about what it means to be a man, to guide them about how to be a father, to guide them about how to be a husband, a provider, and a protector. So often without that guidance, they are looking for a strong masculine presence. And they seek that out in the wrong places. They seek that out in the streets. They seek it out in the gangs. And this is not all black men or even most black men, but it's a significant number that do. And when they seek out this image of the black man as a thug, as a gangster, as a drug dealer, as a pimp, as a player, when they seek out that kind of strong, perceived strong black male leadership, that has a devastating impact on our community. Such problems lead to mass incarceration. Such problems lead to many children being born without fathers in their lives. And it repeats a cycle of devastation in our communities. And that's a cycle that needs to be addressed. That's a cycle that needs to be resolved. And then the absence of a strong black male presence also has another impact. Not only does it tend to lead people to go to that one extreme of seeking out a ultra macho type of image of what it means to be a man, you also have a situation where it goes in the other direction, where black men are being more and more effeminate because they don't have a strong example of what it means to be a man. They're more emotional, and that's just a fact in some situations. So you have a lot of these negative influence in society. You have celebrities that make it seem like it's okay for young men to wear dresses. Many celebrities have done this. And all you have to do is Google black men in skirts and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. Black men in dresses and you'll see what I'm talking about. Famous entertainers like Kanye West, like P. Diddy, um, like Young Thug, like R. Kelly, and others walk around with skirts on. So a lot of people think that that's acceptable. And that's to the far extreme. But you also have situations where they have black men wearing leggings. Leggings that are for women. So now you have people thinking that that's acceptable. You have black men wearing makeup, wearing high heels, actually wearing long nails that are painted. So you have the effeminization of the black man. So on one hand, you have the destruction of the black man in terms of participating in criminal activity that perpetuates the black on black violence, so-called black on black violence that we see in our community, the drug dealing and the mass incarceration. Then on the other hand, you have the black man that's so emasculated, so effeminized, that he's useless to the black community. He can't be a provider and a protector. He can't be a traditional man. And we've lost a sense of roles. We've lost a sense of what it means to be a man and what it means to be a woman. And there's a blurring, a complete blurring of the roles. It's like an anything goes type of environment. And also without the strong presence of a man in the household, that affects not only the boys in the household, it affects the young girls because they're without a strong father to protect that girl, to guide that girl about how to deal with men and how to deal with relationships. So that's important. It's important to have a strong man to make sure that these guys aren't running game on their daughters. Educate them about the games that men play. Protect them from men that don't mean any good or boys that don't mean any good. Guide them in terms of how they should dress and how they should conduct themselves. That's important. A woman can provide this guidance, but it's also important that a man provide that guidance as well. Because we live in a society right now that's so corrupted and so sick that when you call people to righteousness, you're viewed as the negative person. But when you have people talking about slut shaming, they're viewed as some kind of role models. When people condemn wrong conduct, when they say that a woman should dress in a decent and respectable manner with class and self-respect, they're viewed as slut shaming. When they call out behaviors, when they say that a woman shouldn't be walking around dressed like a prostitute, they're condemned. The man is condemned for saying that. The society is condemned for imposing standards of decency. They're called slut shaming. And when a woman is promiscuous, this wicked society says she's sexually liberated, that's what it means to be a woman. That's the kind of world we live in. When such conduct is part of the problem why, part of the reason why we have a lot of these problems in our community. So I think with respect to the first point, we need to get back to God. We need to have a more God-centered focus because we've abandoned that and we've lost our way in terms of gender roles, in terms of the role of a man as a provider and a protector, and a woman as a mother to guide the children. So that's my first point. My second point is this. I think that we need to move away from generalizations. A lot of people have had bad experiences with a few black women, and for black women, they've had a few bad experiences with a few black men. And instead of using uh, a, a solid analysis, instead of analyzing things and being intellectually rigorous and making a self-assessment, too often people go the intellectually lazy route and they make generalizations and they stereotype and become prejudiced towards their own. So you have black men that have no respect for black women because of their limited experiences. They think that it's acceptable to call black women all kinds of names. to call them bitches and hoes and all that kind of stuff, to talk about how other races of women are more desirable than black women. And then on the other hand, you have black women that use those examples of black men, uh, misogyny, as an excuse to abandon black men as a whole, as an excuse to make generalizations about black men as a group. And I think that we need to move beyond the generalizations, take time to assess our own situation, to assess our own mistakes in life, and to think of ways in which we can make better decisions. And we need to take time out to heal ourselves, to reflect on our mistakes, and to learn from our mistakes, and to learn from the mistakes of people that we've been involved with, so that we can build a better future for ourselves and our future families. That's what we have to do. We have to also not only take our time to heal, we also have to go to counseling. I mean, many of us need counseling. Too often we frown upon that. Too often we don't see the value in that. But I think that that's critical for us to deal with our own individual issues, to rebuild our lives and to rebuild our communities. That's very important. Also, in situations where um, relationships fail, but you have children in those relationships, it is crucial that the man continue to play an active role in his children's lives, regardless of what happens with the ex-wife or the ex-girlfriend. That man needs to be there for his children. And that man should fight for his children. He should fight for joint legal and physical custody of his children so he can have a constant presence in his children's lives, to affect his children's lives. And for those people that don't have a father in their lives, we need to expand upon mentorship programs in our communities. We need to look at our communities as a collective responsibility and as a collective work that we need to be involved in. So we need to have positive black men take on the role of mentors in the community. We need to expand upon programs like Big Brothers, Big Sisters, create similar type of programs in our communities. And we need to have, I'm sure that we need plenty of women role models as well in our community to guide our children on the right path. We need to have more rites of passage type programs where we teach young men about what it means to be a man and young women about what it means to be a woman. In our ancient societies, ancient African societies, we had rites of passage. You didn't just become a man because you reached 18 or because you reached a certain age. You didn't just become a woman because you reached a certain age. You had to go through rites of passage. And we need to have something like that set up in our communities on a wider and broader scale. We have it on small scales. There are examples of that in the community, and I'm sure that you all are familiar with such projects, but they need to be expanded and developed, and they need to be a focus of our attention. Too often that's neglected. And with respect to this collective work and responsibility, we have to see every single child in our community as an extension of our own family. There was a time when I was growing up that if I was involved in wrong conduct, a neighbor would check me and would inform my mother. And the same was true for many of the kids in the neighborhood. You had a sense of community. Right now, when the kids are out of line and out of pocket and out of order, too often adults will turn a blind eye and not get involved because that sense of community has vanished, and we need to reclaim that. We need to look upon the community as our responsibility. And you can't talk about addressing these problems in our community without addressing the political and social and economic order in today's society. That is key. We need to be organized to address that problem, the political problem, to deal with racism in our community, to deal with the economic disparities in our community. to deal with the poor schools in our community and the lack of jobs and opportunities in many black communities. We have to deal with the fact that we have double the unemployment rate as the mainstream society. We have to deal with that. We have to deal with the fact that our schools are not performing well, that our children are attending schools that don't have the same resources as affluent suburban schools. We have to deal with all of those issues because all of those issues play into the bigger problem that I was talking about at the beginning. When people lack opportunity for jobs, when people lack an opportunity for an education, they tend to get caught up in the criminal cycle as well. So now, no matter what kind of values you teach your kids, if they don't have opportunity, if they don't have jobs and education, they're more likely than not to get caught up into the criminal justice system. And that's something that needs to be addressed. A man can't be a provider and a protector. He can't be a husband and be there for his family if he doesn't have a job, if he doesn't have a means to support his family. He can't be there for his family if he's incarcerated, if he's serving longer sentences than other races of people simply because of the color of his skin. So those larger issues have to be addressed. And the problem of economic disparity has to be addressed because we live in a situation that goes back years. There are huge economic disparities between the black community and the white community. And those disparities will not be solved with slogans, simple slogans of do for self and buy black. It takes an effort of organization to change government policy to bring about some of those changes. Now, I don't have any problem with someone being an entrepreneur, and I encourage that. I encourage people to do for self by setting up businesses and all that kind of stuff. But we can't pretend like some mom and pop shops or a few businesses owned by a few individuals is going to solve our collective problem as a people. As I noted in the Hangout, there's a study that was published in the Nation magazine and the Wall Street Journal that talks about how it will take 228 years for black people to amass the same level of wealth as white people. Those articles talk about the massive divide between black and white people in terms of economic prosperity. You can't have any kind of discussion about solutions without addressing that problem. But without addressing that problem, there is no solution to our problems. We have to be organized to fight for policies to level the playing field, to narrow that huge gap in wealth between black people and white people. That's a problem that needs to be addressed. We have to address the problem of mass incarceration. The fact that you have all these black men and women locked up behind bars. You can't have strong families when large segments of your community are locked up behind bars, where there are far less marriageable, quote unquote, marriageable black men because of this. You can't even have a discussion about black male-female relationships without dealing with that huge issue. So this problem is massive, and I think that we need to organize to fight against these injustices in society. And also, we need to stand up to the people in our own community that perpetuate negativity. Martin Luther King said that silence is betrayal. And if you have people that have these large platforms perpetuating negativity, attacking black women and black men, and no one says anything about that, no one challenges that, then by not challenging it, by not speaking out, we are simply allowing that problem to fester and to grow. We have to confront it. We have to challenge it. We have to also support those who are doing positive things here on YouTube and in the community. We need to showcase those people, highlight those people, and magnify a message of positivity, a message of black love, a message of black unity, and a message of black power for black people. Peace.